The air in Eliza White's small cottage was thick with the scent of dried lavender, and the quiet hum of a life lived mostly in solitude. Outside, the Cornish wind howled a mournful tune, a sound Eliza had come to know intimately in the 3 years since Samuel had been gone. Her hands, once nimble with garden shears and kneading dough, now moved with a slow, deliberate grace over the patchwork quilt spread across her lap. Each square was a memory, a fragment of a life that had been too short, too bright. There was the faded blue gingham from Samuel's favorite shirt, the vibrant red of the ladybug he'd chased in the meadow, the soft, worn cotton of his baby blanket. Eliza's grief was a constant companion, a shadow that clung to her even on the sunniest of days. But in the act of stitching, of piecing together these fragments, she found a strange kind of solace. The quilt was a tapestry of her love, a tangible testament to the son she had lost. She was on the final square, a cream-colored silk embroidered with delicate forget-me-nots, when there was a hesitant knock on her door. Eliza, unaccustomed to visitors, smoothed her apron and went to answer. Standing on her doorstep was a young woman, her shoulders hunched against the wind, her eyes wide and a little fearful. She clutched a well-worn leather satchel. "Mrs. White?" the young woman asked, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "My name is Liv. I was told you might be able to help me." Eliza studied Liv, a flicker of curiosity replacing her usual reserve. "Help you with what, dear?" It's about a quilt," Liv stammered, fumbling with the clasp of her satchel. "My grandmother, she was a seamstress. She made quilts for people. She told me once, before she passed, that if I ever needed to find someone who truly understood the heart of what she did, it would be you." Eliza's breath hitched. Liv's grandmother. The name Elara, though unspoken, hung in the air between them. Elara, a name Eliza hadn't heard spoken aloud in years, not since the days when their lives had been intertwined by school gates and whispered gossip. "Elara?" Eliza managed, her voice raspy. Liv's eyes widened further, a glimmer of recognition and relief washing over her face. "Yes, you knew her. We were friends once," Eliza said, a bittersweet ache blooming in her chest. "A long time ago." She gestured for Liv to come inside. "Please come in out of the cold. Tell me more." Inside, by the crackling fire, Liv unfolded the story of her grandmother, Elara. Elara, a woman of practicality and sharp wit, had found a surprising passion in quilting. She believed that each stitch held a story, and each fabric scrap was a piece of a life. She had a small workshop in the bustling city, a world away from Eliza's quiet village, and she had a reputation for creating quilts that were more than just blankets. They were woven narratives, imbued with the love and sorrow of those who commissioned them. Liv explained that her grandmother had recently passed, leaving behind a lifetime of projects. Among them was an unfinished quilt, a complex, mosaic-like creation, filled with squares of fabric that Elara had apparently collected from various people. Liv had inherited the task of finishing it, but she felt utterly lost. She always said, "Liv, the heart of the quilt is in the stories it holds, not just the pattern," Liv quoted, her voice tinged with sadness. "And the story of this quilt? I don't know it. I don't know where these fabrics came from, or who they belonged to." Grandmother left a note, a very cryptic one, that said to seek out Eliza White, for she would understand the purpose of these threads. Eliza listened, her gaze fixed on the rough sketches Liv produced from her satchel. They were designs, intricate patterns that spoke of a skilled hand. But it was the fabrics, described in Elara's notes, that made Eliza's heart pound. A patch of starry night fabric, a scrap of sea blue silk, a square of warm, sun-bleached linen. These weren't just random choices. Eliza recognized them. "Oh, Elara," Eliza murmured, a tear escaping and tracing a path down her weathered cheek. She was always so observant. Liv watched her, her own eyes welling up. "You recognize them?" Eliza nodded, her hands trembling as she picked up her own half-finished quilt. "These fabrics, some of them were meant for my quilt, Liv. Elara and we were working on a project together, before I lost Samuel." The story that unfolded was one of unexpected friendship and shared sorrow. Years ago, Eliza, reeling from the sudden illness that had claimed her young son, had found herself unable to move forward. Her grief had been a suffocating blanket. Elara, then a vibrant woman struggling with her own quiet battles, had stumbled upon Eliza in a moment of despair. Elara, the city woman with her sharp tongue and surprisingly gentle hands, had seen the pain in Eliza's eyes, the hollowness that had settled in her soul. She started visiting, bringing with her not pity, but a quiet companionship and an offer to help her channel her grief. Elara proposed we make a quilt together, Eliza explained, her voice soft and distant. A quilt for Samuel. She said it would be a way to keep his memory alive, to weave his story into something beautiful. She had this idea to collect fabrics that represented different aspects of his life and of the people who loved him. She called it the Memory Weaver. Elara had been a collector of stories. She'd traveled, met people from all walks of life, and had a knack for drawing out their deepest emotions. Eliza remembered Elara returning from her trips with small fabric samples, each one a treasure. This Starry Night fabric, Eliza pointed to one of Liv's sketches, that was from a sailor Elara met in a port in Portugal. He told her how he navigated by the stars, and how he felt closest to his family when he looked up at the same sky they did. Liv traced the sketch with her finger, a dawning wonder in her eyes. And the sea blue silk? That was from a young woman who had just moved to the coast, far from her home. She said the ocean reminded her of the vastness of her dreams, and the hope that lay beyond the horizon. Eliza's voice was growing stronger, her grief now mixed with a forgotten warmth. The sun-bleached linen, that belonged to an old farmer who had worked the land his entire life. He said it was as sturdy and reliable as the earth beneath his feet, filled with the warmth of 1,000 harvests. Eliza's quilt, the one she had started for Samuel, was filled with similar pieces. The rough tweed from her husband's fishing sweaters, the soft, worn cotton from Eliza's own childhood dresses, and more. They had painstakingly gone through Eliza's memories, Elara gently coaxing out each story, each emotion, and then translating it into a fabric and a potential stitch. Elara believed that every life, no matter how brief, left an imprint, Eliza said, her gaze meeting Liv's. And she wanted to capture those imprints, to weave them into a tapestry that could be shared and cherished. The quilt Liv had brought was not just a collection of random scraps. It was a testament to Elara's profound empathy, a mosaic of human experience. Elara, Eliza realized, had continued her work, weaving together the stories of strangers with the threads of their hopes, their loves, and their losses, all curated and held together by her remarkable spirit. She never finished it, Liv said, her voice filled with a new understanding. She was gathering pieces, but she never bound them all together. She was waiting, Eliza said, a slow smile spreading across her lips. She was waiting for someone to understand the heart of it, for someone to see that these are not just fabrics, but lives lived, loves loved, dreams dreamt. The original plan for Eliza's quilt had been for it to be a memorial for Samuel, a comfort for Eliza. But as Elara had gathered more stories from more people, the quilt had evolved. It had become something larger than a personal tribute. It was a testament to the interconnectedness of human experience, a reminder that even in our deepest sorrows, we are not alone. My quilt, Eliza gestured to the half-finished masterpiece on her lap, was meant to be about Samuel. But Elara, she expanded it. She included pieces that represented the people who had supported me, the kind strangers I had encountered, even the fleeting moments of beauty I had found even in my darkest days. She wove them all together. Liv's eyes shone. So, this quilt I have, it's a continuation of that? Of her larger vision? I believe so, Eliza said. Elara always said that grief, like love, could be a powerful connector. She saw the beauty in shared vulnerability. These fabrics live, they are the threads of other people's lives, woven together by Elara's incredible gift for empathy. She was building a quilt of shared humanity. Eliza looked at Liv, her heart swelling with a mixture of sorrow and a burgeoning sense of purpose. The isolation of her grief had been a cage, but a new door had just opened. You said you don't know how to finish it? Eliza asked, her voice gaining a quiet strength. I do. Elara and we started something beautiful. And now, with you, we can finish it. Together. Over the next few weeks, Eliza's quiet cottage buzzed with a new energy. Liv, no longer tentative, moved with a newfound confidence, her hands finding a rhythm with the needle and thread. She and Eliza spent hours poring over Elara's sketches and notes, deciphering the stories behind each fabric. There was a square of faded denim, worn smooth as sea glass. It belonged to a young father who had lost his wife to illness, and each patch represented a memory of their shared picnics in the park, their silly dances in the kitchen. There was a piece of shimmering, iridescent fabric, obtained from a musician who found inspiration in the aurora borealis, believing it mirrored the ephemeral beauty of a fleeting melody. Slowly, meticulously, they began to piece together Elara's quilt. Eliza guided Liv, her experienced hands demonstrating stitches, her voice rich with anecdote and insight. She shared stories of Samuel, of his laughter that could light up a room, of his boundless curiosity about the world. And as Eliza shared, Liv began to share too. Liv spoke of her grandmother, Alara, not just as a seamstress, but as a woman who saw the world in a way few others did. She had a keen eye for beauty, even in the most unexpected places, and a heart that was open to all. Liv confided her own anxieties, her own fears about the future, and in Eliza, she found a kindred spirit, a woman who understood the weight of loss and the quiet strength that can emerge from it. Eliza's own quilt, the one for Samuel, remained on her lap, a constant reminder of her personal journey. But now it served as a symbol of something bigger. The act of stitching Alara's quilt became a shared ritual, a bridge built between Eliza's solitary grief and Liv's nascent understanding of her grandmother's legacy. They discovered a shared language in the rustle of fabric, the prick of a needle, the soft sigh of contentment when a perfect seam was achieved. They learned to read the emotions woven into the very fibers, the resilience in a sturdy canvas, the tenderness in a silk brocade, the quiet hope in a pastel-colored cotton. There was a moment when they were stitching a square of deep, velvety purple, embroidered with a single, perfect feather. Alara's notes described it as belonging to a woman who had recently been set free from a difficult situation, her spirit soaring like a bird released from a cage. As Eliza added the final stitch, she looked at Liv, tears in her eyes. "It's more than just a quilt, isn't it?" Eliza whispered. Liv nodded, her own eyes shining. "It's a testament, Mrs. White, to lives lived, to love that endures, and to the fact that even when we're gone, our stories can continue to connect us." As the final stitches were sewn, the quilt lay spread out on Eliza's worn oak table, a breathtaking tapestry of color and texture. It was a vibrant mosaic, each square a unique world, yet somehow harmoniously bound together. There were fabrics that spoke of joy, bright floral prints from wedding dresses, cheerful polka dots from children's party clothes. There were those that whispered of struggle, faded denim worn thin by hard labor, sturdy wool salvaged from a life of hardship. And there were those that spoke of quiet contemplation, soft silks embroidered with delicate patterns, muted linens that seemed to absorb the light. The quilt was Alara's magnum opus, a physical manifestation of her belief that every life had value, every story deserved to be told. And by completing it, Eliza and Liv had become keepers of those stories, guardians of Alara's vision. When Liv finally packed the quilt, carefully wrapping it in a soft cloth, there was a sense of profound farewell, but also of a new beginning. "Thank you, Mrs. White," Liv said, her voice thick with emotion. "You've helped me understand my grandmother, and more than that, you've helped me understand the beauty of human connection." Eliza reached out and gently touched Liv's hand. "And you, my dear, have helped me stitch my way back to the world." Alara's quilt, it's a reminder that even in our deepest losses, we are never truly alone. As Liv walked away, the quilt clutched carefully in her arms. Eliza watched her go, the Cornish wind still howling, but now, its song seemed less mournful and more like a hopeful lament. The quilt, a creation born from grief and woven with empathy, had done what Alara had always intended. It had connected hearts from different backgrounds, reminding them all of the shared threads that bind humanity together. Eliza knew that Samuel's memory would always be a part of her, but now, her heart had room for other stories, other lives, all woven together in the enduring beauty of a quilt. The scent of lavender still lingered, but now it was mingled with the sweet fragrance of hope and the promise of shared stories yet to unfold. That will be all for today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Goodbye.